But the key here really for Penn State this offseason has been retention. They're the number 15 class. The incoming players in the portal, not the flashiest, but they did add one of the top tight ends in Andrew Ivins, who I know Andrew Ivins loves, and one of the top defensive coordinators in the country, and Jim Knowles. But it's who they kept, really. That's the story here. They're star quarterbacks, star running backs. They are back with expectations galore. Let's hear from Tyler Donohue from Lions 24/7 to kick us off.
For Penn State, let's begin at the top of the class, and the guy who was a big rankings riser for us at 24/7 Sports, Malachi Goodman, offensive lineman from New Jersey, one of the premier offensive tackle, offensive guard players in the entire region. They bring him on board. He's going to be a two-deep consideration guy, and you think you could say the same about Andrew Ivins at tight end. They lost an All-American in Tyler Warren. He's off to the NFL. Ivins is a top 50 overall recruit. He flipped from Michigan late in the process. Big pickup, top overall player in Pennsylvania. They continue to stockpile talent in that position room. It's been a little bit different at receiver. They need some instant impact players there. And I think you've got to take a long look at Matthew Alden, who flipped from Virginia Tech, heading into his senior season down in Virginia. He's a key pickup, a guy who's already on campus, generating some intrigue. He needs to add some weight, but a long, talented receiver out of New York named Lyric Samuel. And then in-state, keep an eye on Tyke Hayes, running back out of the Pittsburgh area. They think he's one of the more underappreciated running backs nationally, and he comes into a room that still has Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, but you're looking for a next man up, and Hayes could make his case.
All right, so I mentioned the retention was obviously a big part of it, and I think Andrew was making sure he knew who they retained there, talking to some of your friends over there. No, I want to talk about, though, just who they added. What has you so excited about what Penn State has done in this offseason?
Well, it's like they went in without receivers and let two go.
Then what?
But got two back.
Okay.
Now, the two they got back I really love. Devontae Ross, lightning in a bottle. This is what they wanted Omari Evans to be, and he wasn't. But they get an older version of that, a guy that they can just say, you know what, we're going to find a way to get the ball in your hands, and you become the difference maker. He does it on returns in terms of punt returner. He can line up in the slot and be very dynamic. And just for a small guy, it's a small guy that plays big. He's not afraid of warm bodies around him. And I think that was one of Evans's deal. Whenever you had warm bodies around him, he kind of got a little bit of alligator arms. And just knowing who he is, and I recruited him when he was in high school, and I was at Vanderbilt, went to Penn State. So I understand what he is and what Penn State wants. And they're getting better at the receiver position. And Hudson coming in is what you need at that XZ position in terms of a possession receiver, a receiver that can get open against tight man coverage, have played enough to have the intelligence to find open spots in zones, know when to run away from man, know when to become quarterback friendly and find an open spot to get wide open. So they lost, but they also gained in terms of explosiveness, talent, and just understanding of the vertical and horizontal passing game.
Well, Smoke, I love that you love these two wide receivers, because I think that is the only question mark about Penn State, really, when we look towards 2025. And I think the Nittany Lions have arrived. And last night, as I was preparing for this show, I texted all my buddies. I'm like, get your Penn State futures in now. And they're like, what about the wide receiver position? Hey, I'm with you. I like Kyron Hudson. What he showed at USC, inside, outside versatility. Yeah, is he going to be an all Big Ten talent? I don't know, but he can get open, and he, raises the floor of that wide receiver position. To me, when I look at Penn State, this recruiting class, what they've done in the transfer portal, they have the deepest offensive line in the country. Phil Trotwine, I remember his days when he was wearing the orange and blue for the Florida Gators. He has done an excellent job up front. They returned 4 of 5 starters. Question mark is at the right guard position. It's going to come down to Cooper Cousins, our number 2 ranked offensive lineman last cycle, Jevin Williams, a former 5-star, and then TJ Shanahan, a transfer from Texas A&M. They are built. Drew Aller comes back at the quarterback position. Yeah, the 2024 campaign ended on probably his worst throw of the year, but the flashes are there. He delivered in key moments. He has NFL tools. He's going to be a guy that scouts are going to be all over. Look at the mock drafts for 2026. He's going to be right there, 1, 2, or 3 when we talk about that draft. And then the 2 running backs coming back. How big is that in terms of a retention? The other thing we haven't talked about, Jim Knowles arriving in State College. Yeah, Tom Allen, he's off to Clemson. Did they upgrade at defensive coordinator? Because they potentially could have done just that. You also lose Abdul Carter, might be the number 1 overall pick. Hey, they still got some pass rushers. Zane Durant right there in the middle, Deni Dennis Sutton. Penn State has arrived. This recruiting class, top to bottom, it's guys that are going to be able to make an impact in the Big Ten. And that tight end position, I know Tyler Warren, he's gone. Luke Reynolds, remember the name, write it down, buy his NIL gear. Luke Reynolds, ready to go.
Ball player. Flat out ball player. When he played, you said, well, I hope this guy doesn't get in enough. Tyler, just keep going. If they went 12 personnel and just featured that, it would have really got ugly. But one of the key pickups, I think, for him was King Mack coming back from Bama, getting back up north, and just playing it safety. It's a comfort position. It's a position of understanding that I'm a veteran. I can get everybody lined up and get us through the first maybe 5 or 6 games. And when the young pups are ready to play, let them come on in and play. But I thought that was a key pickup on the back end. And Jim Knowles, he was at Ohio State. And they got to figure out how to stop this. So this might be the kryptonite to some of us understanding what great receiver play is.
Yeah, I think that Penn State fans, though, would argue that defense was good. We're good there. Obviously, there's always room to grow and to get better everywhere. And you mentioned the players that are outgoing. But on offense, what pieces do they have? I know that we've mentioned you're excited about the wide receivers. You're a little apprehensive about, not enough. So where is this Penn State team as a whole better?
I think the offensive line, right? Like they retain these guys. Where are they better? They retain their top 2 running backs. We're in an era where you have to hold on to these individuals. They are paying them not to go to the NFL. Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, they are back. The quarterback is going to be improved. So where are they getting better? It's another year of continuity under Andy, the offensive coordinator there. The tight ends, Tyler Warren was awesome. But Penn State recruits the tight end position like other schools recruit the wide receiver position, right? That's where they invest a ton of the time and their resources. Andrew Ivins, he's coming in. He's the highest ranked tight end signing. They signed 4 of them. Matt Henderson out of Virginia. He could have been a 4-star prospect. Jeff Exenor out of the DMV.
Matchup problem.
He's a matchup problem as well. This is a kid that had mid-major college basketball offers. He was playing safety at 225 pounds. That is where Penn State tries to create the mismatches. Yes, they still have to figure out the wide receiver position. You look at the group they brought in, kind of leaves a little bit to be desired. But James Franklin, that staff, how they have built this roster, everywhere where you see a guy is leaving and going off to the NFL, I like the other person that's coming in, having scouted them coming out of high school. They continue to reload with blue chip talent. We talk about the NFLcation of college football right now. They are drafting extremely well, and these guys are going to be ready to go. Elliott Washington, that's a name a lot of people don't know as a cornerback, former top 100 player. They got John Mitchell, Antonio Belgrave Shorter, Darius Dixon up here on the screen. We just saw him. I've heard Darius Dixon's already running in the 2 deep, a kid out of Mater Dei. They went across the country for him. You think about the new look Big Ten. So, where did they get better? Continuity. Defensive coordinator, I don't think there's going to be that much of a drop-off. Your quarterback, you think he's going to take a step forward. And then hopefully, Kyron Hudson, he's the dude at wide receiver.
Right.
This is a big group, too. 27 total commits.
27, but that Penn State group got older. And when we look at it last year, Ohio State, that was an old team.
They did that, yeah.
Old is new. It's not the youth movement anymore. And when you get to the cusp of one play away from getting to where you want, it leaves a nasty taste in your mouth. And when you see a band of guys come back and just say, forget chasing the money in the NFL, this one hurts. It stings, and we don't want to feel this way anymore. Drew saying, I got you guys. You guys have a first-round quality quarterback. That's why you saw the wave of receivers wanting to come in. The offensive lineman said, shoot, I'm not going anywhere. Offensive coordinator said, listen, whoever wants me, I'm hunkered down because we have enough and more than enough to compete and win for a national championship.
Kotelnicki's back. You've got Drew Aller, who could have gone to the NFL. He is back. So definitely a lot to be thrilled about if you're a Penn State fan. But the smoke said, driven by the way that last season ended as well. Still a lot left on the table. You can check out Lions 24/7 for all things Penn State football. Tyler Donohue and the whole crew does a fantastic job covering Penn State.